Hello. I am sticking this new lead in on because this episode is not like all the others. All the other parts. You have the part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4 is not split into a prologue, 5 moments. Stop doing that. It's not split into a prologue, 5 moments, and an epilogue like all the other parts have been. It's all just one big part, which I did not know going in. And so I just started recording. I'm just going to go till it's done. I've been recording for nearly 4 hours now. So I'm going to break it up into 2 parts because it's been just arduous editing these when they're 3 and 4 hours long. And I've been staying up way too late, not getting enough sleep, being very irritable. I've got to get up super early tomorrow to take someone to the airport. So I'm breaking this up. So this will be part 2 of the last part of part 4, or part 2 of part 8. So this is going to be part 9. The part 4 of the game, the internal part 4. It'll be the second half of part 4. So enjoy. This is the real for reals end of the game here. So enjoy the wrap up. Enjoy the very exciting conclusion of our life. Beginnings and always. You'd barely stepped over the threshold of the condo before Ma descended, eagerly welcoming you both. Usual greetings were followed by questions on everyone's well-being, after which the conversation moved on to excited chatter about tonight's dinner plans. Cove excused himself to the restroom to freshen up before being on the move again. But when he returned, you were shocked to see he had entirely changed outfits. This isn't bad. I might do like one more button. And this thing that's going on with his chest is kind of weird. This makes him look like he's got like a 12-pack and no pectorals. Where did that come from? I packed it with me so I could get dressed before the dinner without having to go back to the hotel. Didn't you? Or maybe you have stuff still here at your mom's place? Cove, I hate to break it to you, but no, I definitely didn't do something crazy like that. But your mom's party, it's at the country club. Yeah, and so are middle-aged folks in Hawaiian shirts. What's your point? It'd be different if we were going to one of the club's parties, but we're only going for a regular meal. Cove was as befuddled by your explanation as you were with his actions. He threw his arms up, desperate for understanding. No, I get why he'd dress up. I would too. I would have assumed it's at a country club. I need to dress a little nicer. And not, what I assume is the case, because it's a private event, you can dress however you want.
Seriously?
How can you not dress nicely for a country club? I don't think the Cypress is as special as you've decided it is. You saw Ma, she wasn't in formal clothes, and she's one of the guests of honor. His frown wobbled, and his cheeks became far pinker. He looked down at his own self regrettably as he pulled at the cuffed ends of his shirt. I think he looks nice, and you should shut up and leave him be. He seemed more like a scolded child than a grown man dressed for the latest charity gala. I don't think it's that fancy. It's not like this isn't like a dinner jacket, It's not part of a suit. It's just a really, it's an unusual and cool shirt. And some nice pants. I thought she was going to get changed while you and me were... Ma? No way. She'd need a whole lot more time than that. Well, it's okay. You look very nice. You are such a cutie. I love how much of an idiot you are. You shrugged. No comment needed. You patted his arm encouragingly. I get either you're such a cutie or it's okay, you look very nice. I'm going to say you look very nice. That earned you a sheepish smile, though he still clearly wished his look hadn't garnered any extra attention. Cove's eyes stole a glance at the hall, as if he was calculating if he'd have time for another quick change. Unfortunately for him, it was not meant to be. The time to head out came far quicker than you'd expected. Mr. Holden and Kyra swung by the condo to make sure everything was in order, and for your second surprise that night, Mr. Holden was also in formal clothes. Cove's face excitedly whipped towards yours at the same time Mr. Holden went to Kyra's. The two men pointed at one another. That's the Spider-Man meme. See, he knows. Exactly, sport. Kyra was talking to me like I was crazy. You and her thought alike in terms of the Holden boy antics. The aforementioned Kyra placed a hand delicately yet dramatically across her eyes. Clifford, our son only knows this because you are the one who raised him. Mr. Holden chuckled, his arm moving to scratch the back of his neck. Yeah, that's my boy. The ends of Cove's mouth gently bent up. He truly was his father's kid, in more ways than even he realized. They may be the only ones in the group, potentially the only guests at the entire club, all gussied up, but at least they could now take solace in one another. That looked to be good enough for them. All of the Johnson family, as well as the honorary members Cliff, Kyra, and Cove, headed out at the same time to the Cypress. It was to be a perfect reunion. An impeccably smart host greeted you on arrival, smoothly leading the way to the set of tables reserved for your group. Once you'd all settled in, chosen drinks were poured into delicate glasses. The food would be coming out later, letting you soak up the atmosphere for a little longer. Smiling, your parents faced the group of familiar faces, all gathered here together to share this special day with them. Mom reached over and took Ma's hand, clasping it between both of hers.
Thanks.
Thanks for being here tonight, gang. Marrying this lady right here is the best thing I've ever done, and there's no one else I'd want to celebrate that with. Yes, we're so lucky. Not only do we have each other, but we've got such a large and loving family through all of you. Around you, you heard people saying, "Aww," and chuckling appreciatively at the comment. Lee had clasped her hands tightly in front of her, her eyes shining. Your eyes met Liz's misty ones, and the affection she had for her mom's carried over to you too. You returned your attention toward the happy couple just as they leaned in to kiss, smiling all the while. Aww, that's so nice. The table responded with cheers and clapping, shouts of happy anniversary and other congratulations continuing even after they'd broken apart. Mom beamed as she watched Ma giggle dreamily. The waiters reappeared, delivering delicious plates of food, and the dinner began in earnest. Both conversation and laughter continued to flow freely as the night went on, with the two families relishing the opportunity to be together once more. Eventually, after your hunger and thirst had been fully satisfied, the plates were cleared and the event began to draw to a close. Cliff and Kyra exchanged goodbyes with your family before heading out together. Cove gave his goodbyes to his parents while hanging back until your moms were ready to head off. You were getting a lift back with your moms. It was already late, so you discussed the possibility of going straight to the hotel rather than going back to the condo. But Cove had asked if they'd mind taking him back to the neighborhood. He'd wanted to visit it a little longer. Your moms had happily agreed. Liz and Lee were feeling tired, so your moms swung by their hotels during the trip home, while you and Cove made the full journey with them. Riding in the back seat of your mom's car with Cove felt more than a little nostalgic. As your eyes drifted over to him, his head resting on the window, it was hard to believe how much time had passed. Mom stretched as she got out of the car, smiling over her shoulder as she headed toward the house. Time to put my feet up. You two joining us? Cove shook his head. No thanks. It's your anniversary. You don't have to entertain me. I'll take a walk. It's never any trouble to have you over, Cove.
You all right with that?
Let him do as he pleases, Lonnie. But you better not stay out too much later or there'll be trouble. Ma chuckled as Mom waggled a finger, her expression exaggeratedly severe as she reprised a role that, in truth, she'd never really played. Neither of your parents had been particularly harsh as you'd grown up. Ma joined in the act. Don't go too wild just because there's no school tomorrow. Laughing, they made their way inside, leaving you standing out in the dark street with Cove. You didn't even need to ask him why. You already had the answer for this. He wasn't yet ready for the day to end. Without a word, Cove began to stroll down the road. You walked alongside him. I mean, we could have gone back to the hotel and then, walked around the hotel area. We could have seen if there was some place to go near there. You walked alongside him. You'd known your destination long before you arrived on the dark and utterly deserted beach. There were no lights down here, nothing but the moon and the stars for illumination. The only sounds were the gentle waves rolling in and out, and the soft sound of the footprints you left in the sand. In other words, it was perfect. Cove stepped out into the waves without a word. He looked up at the sky with a smile, then tucked his head down and began to pull his fancy shirt off. He tugged it over his head and lobbed it backwards, further up the beach and out of the reach of the waves. What are you doing? Didn't know I'd be getting a show. Wait for me. You looked away, embarrassed. You followed him into the water. You better not go any deeper into the water. I mean, me, I'd be tempted to say, didn't know I'd be getting a show, hey. I don't know if I want to go running in the water. I'm just going to say, hey, what are you doing? I hope it's just sort of gently interrogative and not like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Don't do that. What are you doing? Just, what are you doing? Kind of thing. Wait for me. Or just follow him into the water. I'm just worried that this one's going to get misinterpreted. Heck with it. Didn't know I'd be getting a show. Cove froze, his arm still raised from when he'd thrown his shirt. I should have known. Slowly, he came back to life, stiffly pulling his arm back down. Your commentary had made him self-conscious. Laughing, you clapped your hands in delight at his awkwardness. Cove slipped his dress pants off and tossed them back in roughly the same direction as his shirt. He was down to just his polka dot boxer briefs. Sometimes you were really struck by the ways in which he was braver than his younger self. This was definitely one of those times. He never, ever would have done this when you were both living on this street. But you also know he still wouldn't do it with anyone other than someone he'd spent all those years with. You took off your shirt so that you could swim. You took off your shoes. You took off your dress so that you could swim. You decided you didn't care if your clothes got wet. You thought it was so wild that Cove was actually going to swim right now. In for a buck, in for a quarter. You took off your shirt so that you could swim. Cove waded further into the water until it came up to his chest. You unfastened your clothes and left them behind you, just as Cove had done moments before. You didn't even bother to see where they'd fallen before following him deeper into the sea. Cove grinned as you approached. I'm gonna be in so much trouble with my moms when we get back.
I guess.
Yeah? Oh well. Think fast. He splashed water at you as soon as the words had left his lips, giving you no time to prepare. The splash had caught you full on, leaving you spluttering and drenched. You splashed him back. You swam away. You're a child. I'm not going to encourage a splash fight, but I'm also not going to scold him. Cove swam after you, laughing. I'm sorry, I won't do it again. Cove sighed, then looked at you mournfully. The sudden shift in mood alarmed you, but those worries disappeared as soon as he opened his mouth. We're still not merfolk. The world is cruel. You snickered. After a moment, Cove's mock sadness broke, and he joined in. The two of you wound up drifting further down along the shoreline, chatting and enjoying the chance to be back on the beach that had provided the backdrop for so much of your childhood. Eventually, a silhouette of structures appeared up ahead. As you drew closer, you realized it was the old playground. Cove spotted it too and hurried toward it, dragging himself out of the water and heading into the park. Wet sand coated his feet and lower legs with every step, clinging thickly enough that it began to resemble a bizarre pair of boots. As you followed him, you wondered how many visitors this little park got these days. There were officially no children living in that neighborhood now. Cove gazed at his surroundings in wide-eyed awe. He didn't care at all that he was soaking wet and dressed only in his underwear. Crouching, he gently pushed one of the child-sized swing seats, marveling at it all.
Wow.
Can't believe how tiny everything is. Were we seriously small enough to use these? He shook his head, unable to fathom just how little you'd both been when you first met, then walked over to the monkey bars. Once, these had been a challenge for you. Now they were little more than waist height next to Cove. Cove turned his back to the bars and hopped up onto them with ease, sitting on them comfortably. You sat on the bars with him. You leaned against the bars. You stood in front of him. Lean on the bars, I guess? It was strange seeing adult Cove juxtaposed with the baby playground. This place had been something so exciting to Cove back when he had first arrived, and apparently it was to this day. Cove smiled eagerly as you approached, kicking his feet in the air happily, briefly forgetting the low vantage point until the tip of his toes scraped along the ground. He continued to swing his feet, but with a little more care. You thought it was adorable. In this moment, you were home. It just so happened to be the place you'd grown up, but really, anywhere you could be with Cove was that for you. He had held a special place in your heart for so long, and so much of your life had been shared. You'd grown up on the same street, which had given you some common ground, but it went far beyond that. You had both chosen from a young age to share your life with each other. You wouldn't have it any other way. Here we are again. Looks like it. The mood had shifted now. The funny, impulsive night beach trip, with the spike of adrenaline that came from you playing in the water under the moonlight, had settled into something quieter and more nostalgic. Cove leaned back, tilting his head toward the sky to admire the stars above. The dinner was really nice. It was great to do all this. The smile he had when he spoke those words fell as quickly as it had appeared. It went by so fast. We all came out here for the party and it's over. Liz, Lee, our parents, we'll all be going back to our own things now. But what else can you do except say it's okay? I guess it's part of growing up. This place and these people, they're our foundation. It shaped who we are now, like making castles out of sand. I owe a lot to Sunset Bird. His eyes crinkled fondly, and Cove's voice was gentle when he spoke again. We had a good childhood, I think. I think so too. We're really lucky. I'll always remember our days here. Wow, you're sounding so old now, you joked. You simply shrugged. You silently nodded. We're really lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. He shook his head, sighing heavily. All right. His smile took on an uncharacteristically harsh twist. You had a feeling where this was going. We better get home before your dumb parents, who don't know anything, get mad. You had to laugh at the half-hearted impression of the sour kid you'd once encountered at this very park. He chuckled along with you for a moment before tapering off. Hope we don't get grounded. The jokes kept coming. It was very amusing to imagine that not only could your mom somehow ground you as a fully grown and independent adult, but that their powers extended over Cove as well. As much as you were enjoying being back here, Cove was right. You had to accept that you needed to go now. It was late, and your moms were still expecting to see you before you got a ride back to the hotel. Cove hopped down from the bars, landing easily on the ground only a short distance below. Before you could return, you had some clothes to retrieve from the beach. You retrod the same path, following the footprints down to the shore you'd left in the sand only a little while earlier. Once you and Cove had scrounged up your abandoned clothes, you started to walk up the old path home, side by side. Droplets of water slipped down your skin and fell onto the road as you made your way back to your mom's house. As you and Cove were still soaked and sandy from your earlier adventure, it was likely that you were leaving quite a trail in your wake. But you'd seen Cove's bedroom growing up. It was only natural for him. The air was slightly humid, already pleasantly dense with moisture that felt like a hug as it closed around you. Any damp footsteps that were left behind would take longer to dry in this weather. The signs of your adventure might even be visible when the sun came up the next day. You hoped so. You quite liked the idea of you and Cove leaving your mark on your hometown again, even if only for a little while. Despite being soaked through and mostly undressed, the balmy summer night prevented you from feeling any chill. You were entirely comfortable. In truth, you felt warm inside and out. The day had been so lovely, spending time with friends and family, and your eyes drifted over to Cove. Cove Holden, your boyfriend. Just seeing him brought a smile to your face. I always want to be with you. Cove, you make me so happy. You're truly my other half. You said nothing, simply enjoying his presence. Did he say something that requires a response? No. Okay. You enveloped him in a hug. You playfully bumped against him with your side. You kissed him, reached for his hand. You nodded, pleased with how tonight had played out. Reached for his hand. Cove gladly allowed you to take hold of his hand. Once your hands were entwined, he rubbed his thumb along yours in contented acknowledgement. You were full of joy. All other concerns and the day-to-day stresses of normal life were squeezed out by it. All you could think in that moment was how your life was wonderful. Every second and every day needed to end sometime, and that time had nearly come for tonight. You had to get at least some rest and bring it all to a close. And so, the two of you went inside to say goodnight to your moms, as well as clean yourselves up as best you could. Your moms, both in pajamas ready for their own sleep, hooted with laughter as you came inside, disheveled and damp, and their teasing continued until the car came to get you to the hotel. Cove stayed silent as he put his casual clothes on again, placing the formal ones back in the bag he brought them in. You'd given Mom and Ma plenty of material for a mock scolding, and you got a playful lecture about not getting into the water without bothering to change first. You just grinned at your partner in crime, feeling like a naughty kid again. It had been worth it. By the time you and Cove finally dragged yourselves to your hotel room for the night, the sky had been dark for some time, and the lonely hotel hallways were quiet. The late hour made you feel a sense of fulfillment. You really were making the most of your trip. It was such an odd thought that this was almost over. You had settled into this new routine naturally. All the familiar streets and faces made everything easy to get used to. The two of you drowsily shuffled past an ice machine and into your room. Cove set his phone on his bedside table, and you followed suit. You both started settling in for the night. The hotel room was a welcome sight after your long day. You noticed Cove rub the back of his neck and yawn. His voice was quiet and distant. Hope the pet sitter's doing good. The wish wasn't exactly directed to you. It was just a sleepy thought that Cove had unleashed upon the world at large, but you still agreed. I hope so. That sitter is watching some of the best animals on the planet. Cove still kept fish after all these years. Delightful, colorful things in huge aquariums. He apparently spent a lot of time watching them swim. You had not been surprised when he told you that he found someone to look after them in his absence. After all, you also found a pet sitter. You were in the same spot as Cove with your animals. With no one at your respective homes, they still needed to be cared for. Cove's anxiety about leaving them hadn't subsided. Over the vacation, you had caught him a few times texting the pet sitter and asking about his fish. I am also a little worried. It'll be okay. You are even more tense than Cove. It'll be fine. Cove turned his head to you, the nervousness still coming off despite his exhaustion. Remember, you gave that pet sitter such an in-depth fish orientation that they knew all of their names. And most of the fish are practically identical. Cove laughed, instantly lighter. You nodded in satisfaction. Mission accomplished. Cove yawned widely. He seemed confused at the magnitude of it. He groggily blinked at you. I think it's time for bed. That is a great thought. You yawned and then raised an eyebrow at Cove for making you catch his. He gave a little smile, then ended up yawning again. I think so too. The two of you got changed and brushed your teeth. In no time at all, both of you were cozy and ready to sleep. After that, you flopped onto your side of the shared bed. Cove headed over to his side, and you felt the mattress dip under his weight. You tucked yourself under the covers, and Cove snuggled in closer to the middle. You turned on your side to face him and scooted slightly closer. Your noses almost touched, and Cove watched you with a soft expression on his face. Cove gently spoke, his words like a lullaby.
Good night.
Good night, Jamie. You have a good night, too? Cove's eyes fluttered shut, and he let out a contented sigh. There was a warmth from Cove's body next to you. He was right there. His presence was comforting, perfect for lulling you to sleep. His presence was alluring. You really wanted your hands on him. Yeah, but are we gonna ask, or, let's try that. Let's see. Your hand drifted over to Cove's, and you ran your fingers up his arm, across his shoulder, and finally to his face. Cove trembled at the gesture. You cradled his cheek, and his eyes opened slightly to peek at you, unsure. Are you tired? As nice as it was to be near him, you understood he might not be in the mood. You wouldn't mind if you both just went to sleep instead. Cove mumbled into the hotel blanket.
I mean...
I mean, not anymore. Your eyebrows lifted. He flushed as a growing excitement replaced any previously held plans to rest. I wonder if I'm going to have to cut any of this out. We'll find out, I guess. You leaned forward and lightly kissed his lips. He pecked you back affectionately. You could feel his smile in his affection. He rolled slightly so that he was fully on his side and had a better range of motion. The new freedom of his arm, he reached over to stroke the back of your head. When the first kiss ended, you immediately started another, and then another. Cove stopped running his fingers down your hair to hold your head closer. You broke apart, satisfied. You kept going. I'm going to keep going. Let's see where this is going. You kissed him deeply. You grabbed onto his shirt. You hooked your legs around him. You kissed down his neck. You grabbed his butt. You nibbled on his ear. You pressed your foreheads together affectionately. I'm gonna avoid, grabbing anything. I think hooking your legs around him is a little too big of a jump from smooching. Kissed him deeply, kissed down his neck, or you nibbled on his ear, I think. Let's go for the ear. You pressed your chest against his and toyed with his earlobe, peppering it with soft little bites. Cove spoke breathily, inaudible words against the crook of your neck. Oh, we can just choose your own adventure here. You pulled back, feeling satisfied. I kissed down his neck a little bit. You bent over Cove, the covers wrapping around you, and kissed all the way across the side of his neck. Cove squirmed under your touch and made a new pleased noise with every touch. You kissed him deeply. You grabbed onto his shirt. You hooked your legs around him. You grabbed his butt. You pressed your foreheads together affectionately. You pulled back, feeling satisfied. Oh, so we're just picking what order. I see. Well, then let's go with kissing him deeply. How's that? You snaked your arms around Cove and pulled him as close as you could. You savored the heat of his body against you. You pressed into Cove as long as you could manage before needing air. He responded just as desperately. Grabbed onto his shirt. You tugged and pulled at Cove's soft pajamas. It stretched under your fingers. Cove started to run a hand through your hair again, sweetly carding through the strands, like carding wool, where you run like the combs through it. It was a never-ending reassurance that he was here and he cared about you. Guess it's time to hook the leg around. I mean, we could grab his butt, but I don't know. Let's go for the leg hook. You tangled your legs across Cove. You needed to get even closer. He twisted his arms around your back and kissed the corner of your mouth. All right, now we go for the butt. You slid your hand down his back, lingering, caressing as you pleased. However, your touch had a purpose, and you kept going until you grabbed his butt. A shiver went through him, and he gripped your pajamas harder. You smiled at the curve of his lips. And then we're going to go to forehead pressing and pulling back? Cove happily looked back at you before he bent his torso so that he was in a position more over you. He kissed you and ran his tongue along the bottom of your lip. You kissed him back eagerly, encouraged further. Cove twisted his head toward his pillow and squished his face into it, letting out a sigh. You smiled and you snuggled up against him, both of you starting to settle from the heated moment. Cove's face remained pressed to the pillow, and you watched his chest rise and fall visibly with his deep inhales, but his arms stayed around you, holding you close. When his breathing slowed, he shifted back over and met your eyes. Cove nuzzled his cheek against you lovingly and whispered, "You really shouldn't stay up all night, huh?" You accepted Cove's judgment. He was right. You both needed sleep for tomorrow. You curled up comfortably in each other's arms, ready to actually settle down for the night. Your eyes fell closed sometime after. You were not sure exactly when, only the fact that they were now too heavy to open. You felt a mixture of bitter and sweet emotions. You were happy to be here, but sad it was ending. There was relief that you would soon be in your own home again, but also wondering when you could return here. There were many more feelings swirling around in your head that hadn't even crystallized into thoughts yet. Paradoxically, you felt nice, but also confused, but then also nice from the confusion. In the back of your mind, you realized that you really must be tired. Unsurprisingly, your exhaustion did not give you too much time to muse on your emotions, and in what felt like seconds, you were already dreaming. The dreams dancing around your head became fragmented and faded until you couldn't remember a thing about them at all. You were growing more aware of the real world. You woke up on your own. The alarm you set woke you up. Cove was gently waking you. Let's make him wake us up. You woke up feeling enveloped by warmth. Humming happily, you felt Cove's fingers trail up your arm. You opened your eyes with a smile. Groggily, you struggled to keep your eyes half open. You pouted and squeezed your eyes shut. Closing your eyes again, you snuggled into Cove. I'll open them. Morning. Did you have any good dreams? Some, but none were as nice as this actually is. Under the blanket, you reached out and rested a hand on his side. Your thumb lightly brushed the side of his body, and you watched the affectionate look in his eyes grow. You sat up fully with a big yawn, stretching your back, then your arms, lastly your neck, before accepting the day. The blanket fell to the side while you swung your legs over the side of the bed. Part of it almost caught on your foot, but you kicked it away. Cove slipped out of bed on the opposite side. Today would be your last day in Sunset Bird. The only thing you had planned was some family time in the old neighborhood. You figured you'd see where the day took you from there. Yawning again, you glanced over at your clothes. There was just one more day to live out of your bag. Really looking forward to having my full wardrobe again. I don't have anything clean left, but oh well. Hey, Cove, is there anything you'd like to see me in today? You simply started sorting through the pile for something to put on. I mean, I don't feel like it's this kind of relationship. Oh, I see. This is a hint to go shopping. I don't have anything clean left, but oh well. We'll just have to go buy something. You simply started sorting through the pile for something to put on. Just find something. The next several minutes passed in comfortable silence while you internally debated between two shirts. All right, let's get things going. Our families are waiting. Nodding, you and Cove swiftly finished getting ready in the small hotel room. As soon as you had your stuff together and were ready to go, you were off. During the ride there, you and Cove decided to visit his dad's house first this time. Literally haven't gotten to any of the moments yet. We're still in the prologue. When you got dropped off, Cove eagerly hopped out onto the street with his eyes locked on his father's condo. Your gaze fell on your boyfriend. He stood in the middle of the street where you grew up together, while the summer sun made him shine. Though he was the brightest light in your eyes, no matter what. It was a beautiful thing. You knew you had to propose before you left Sunset Bird once more. No, not ready. You wouldn't give up a single second of your time with Cove. Meeting him there, you were looking forward to how today's chapter would unfold. Cove strode up to his old front door and casually flung it open without bothering to knock once again. You followed at his side as he poked his head in. You closed the door behind you both. Hello? You found Cliff and Kyra in the kitchen, getting breakfast ready. Kyra was cutting an apple while Cliff was watching a frying pan sizzle. Cove's parents waved from across the room, not straying from their tasks. Good morning, you two. Yeah, morning and hello to you. I hope you slept well.
Thanks.
Thanks for swinging by. You're more than welcome to join us for breakfast here, if you haven't already eaten, of course. We haven't yet, though even if we had, there's always room for more. Kyra chuckled. She put down the knife she had in her hand so that all her attention could be on her son. You're still my giant, growing baby boy. Mom, please. Kyra didn't pay Cove's whining any mind. Instead, she put a finger up to her lips as she thought, eyes on you and then glimpsing toward the window.
What do you think?
I wonder, do you think your family's eaten yet, Jamie? No clue. I haven't checked in with them yet. You got to be the first stop. Your eyes flickered over to the clock on their oven. Given the time, your moms may have eaten, or they could be having a slower morning. It was a coin toss either way. Well, give them a call. They could come over. Cove nodded, a sage expression on his face. Making them breakfast is the least we could do after how much food I ate at their house growing up.
Right.
True, bud, very true. All right. You took out your phone. Even though your moms both had cells for years, the house number was the one you had memorized as a kid and the first entry on your contacts list. As the call connected, you tapped the speaker button. You figured it would be easier if everyone could hear what was going on. You heard a click and familiar static.
Hello.
Hello, Jamie. It's so nice to hear from you. Hey, Ma. Guess who's currently across the street in a kitchen full of food and an invitation to share said food? You waited a beat. It's me. I'm at the Holdens and they wanted to invite you and everyone over to eat with us. What do you say? That sounds delightful. Pamela and I can do that. Liz and Lee should be able to make it too. Would that be fine? Cliff took a step forward and spoke loudly so that his voice would be picked up. It definitely would be. The more the merrier.
Marvelous.
We may have gotten together for dinner last night, but there's no law that we can't do it again for breakfast today. Enjoy the company while you can, is what I think. Ma giggled. You could hear some rustling over the line. Thank you. I'll let them know and we'll be right over. Cliff gave a thumbs up. Cove shook his head with amusement. Dad just gave a thumbs up. I'm telling you since you can't see him over the phone. Kyra snorted, and Ma's laughter rang out, filling the kitchen. Cliff switched the thumbs up hand to instead scratch the back of his head, kind of like I'm doing now. I'm so uncomfortable.
See you.
Well, sounds like we'll see you soon. Goodbye for a little while. You could feel her smile from her voice. Bye, Ma. You ended the call with a satisfying tap of the red button. Cliff's eyes wandered around the space. We better get cooking.
Sounds good.
I can help. Just tell me what we're making. No way, you're guests. Kyra and I have got this. She grinned. There was something playful in the twist of her lips.
Right.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Cliff. I've been in your spot before. There's no choice but to accept it. Cove sighed, but from the sparkle in his eyes, you could see that he was entertained. Fine, we'll just hang out over here, I guess. Good. Cove walked over to the living room and gestured at the couch. You both took a seat, getting a comfortable spot to wait for food and family. Cove tilted toward his parents with his chin, then shook his head with a gentle smile, silently asking if you could believe this. All you had was a silent shrug. Time passed, filled with light chatting. Cove kept a careful watch on his parents' culinary progress and teasingly kept a running commentary. Oh, Dad added another pinch of salt. I wonder if that was a good idea. Cliff had to raise his voice to project over the living room. He sounded very amused. It's funny that you of all people are commenting on my salt usage. We were both born and raised in salt water. Besides, I'm sure you remember back when you were about 12 and tried to make... Cove flushed slightly, but his smile remained as bright as ever. Do you really want to start talking about cooking mistakes, Dad? Because I remember a lot of things too, like, what about that chowder that was supposed to be a pie? Cove and his family were quite a show to listen to. You chimed in occasionally, but mostly you provided the laugh track. Eventually, there was a rhythmic knock on the door. That's them. He said it loudly for his parents' benefit. You nodded and got up to greet your family. When you opened the door, surprisingly, there were no moms. Terry stood in front with Miranda at his side. Derek waved from behind them. Hey, buddies. We came to see you two before you left. Plan would have been to go over to Jamie's house next if you weren't here. Luckily, you two aren't too hard to find. What he said. And hi. Cove burst into happy laughter. His brows were high in surprise, not unlike how he looked after unwrapping a nice present. Wow, thanks for coming. Hello. Kyra's voice carried through the house from the kitchen. Cliff likewise projected, Great, the whole gang will be here. You heard the sound of a cabinet open and shut. A pan clattered and the faucet turned on.
Are we interrupting something?
You're joining a breakfast party. My parents, sister, and cousin are coming over. We actually thought that you were them when you knocked. Yep, but my dad always makes a ton of food anyway. It's no problem for you guys to join. Cove waved off their concerns before pausing with a thoughtful hum. You should check with your dad first to make sure you have, literally enough food to feed everybody. You know, what if you've run out of bread for toast or French toast? Or what if you've run out of bacon? What if you don't have any oatmeal? You know, what if your dad needs time to make more pancakes? I don't know. What if you're out of eggs? The only real problem is, do we have enough places for all these people to sit? He peered back into the house and started counting the dining room table chairs and bar stools. 5, 6... Cliff interrupted when Cove began trying to use his fingers to connect the different chairs to different guests.
No worries.
Don't worry. Some people can squish together on the sofas. It'll be fine. This really is going to be a party. Well, I'd be happy to accept the invitation. Yeah, you'd have to be crazy to skip out on this.
Thanks.
Thank you for making room. We're really glad that you came. Your 3 friends finally piled into the house. Before they had a chance to settle in, the doorbell rang. Only Miranda had sat down.
All right.
Now that has to be them. People laughed as he walked back over to the door and opened it up. He was right this time. It was your parents, Liz and Lee, all crowded on the front steps. They squinted into the house and were surprised at just how many greetings were said. The sheer force of the chorus of hellos was impressive.
What?
How did they beat us here? How early did Jamie call you? We're literally across the street. Terry snorted at your sister's confusion. He seemed quite pleased with himself. We were a surprise. We called ourselves.
Cool.
Very cool. Cliff smirked as he adjusted the settings on the stovetop. It's a little more crowded than expected, but we're making it work. Cove led the final group to complete the picture inside, and they took the chance to greet you along with everyone else. When the excited energy buzzing around the table started to calm, you had a second to truly appreciate this view. The most important people in your life all together again. It still felt too good to be true to have everyone here. And then you noticed that Kyra stood back up. She clapped her hands once in a satisfying smack.
Any whoosies?
I hate to interrupt, but I thought you'd want to know that the food's done cooking. Cliff crossed the floor to place a pile of silverware on the table, and then he dropped stuff off on other surfaces around the rest of the living room. When he was done, he gestured toward the food.
Okay.
The plates are in the kitchen. Serve yourselves and sit wherever you'd like. The guests happily formed a line, and the meal was steadily passed around. Before long, each person claimed a seat in the Holden living room area, some at the table, others on the kitchen island, and some situated at the couches. Conversations trickled across the various clusters of friends as everyone dug in. Cove finished his plate in record time with a pleased sigh. He put his fork down and surveyed the room. This is really cool. Just how we're getting to do this kind of thing. I like this too, Cove. I hope we'll be able to make this happen again. Of course. There'll always be more reasons to get the gang back together in the future. Yes, the two of you might even dare to celebrate your yearly anniversary. Every year! The smirk on Liz's face grew only wider as your moms giggled at her teasing. Ma shook her head, chuckling softer now.
Shush.
Liz, shush.
True.
Honestly, we just might. You've made a good point. It does come around every year. You should. Seriously, you deserve a big celebration for your magical day. The kids are right. You've got a lot of people who want to appreciate you. You've got to give them a chance. It's true. I know I have a lot to thank you for. There were more nods of agreement around the room, and your moms took each other's hands for support. Neither were expecting so much encouragement. We'll think about it. She'll think about it, and I'll tell Lonnie to stop thinking so hard if she doesn't agree. Ham?
Good.
Good job, Mom. Now with that settled, let us continue to enjoy this perfect gathering. Agreed. Actually, you want to know who else being here would make this extra perfect? Oh, are we forgetting somebody? Should we invite Derek's dad, who used to work with Mr. Holden? Should we call Baxter? Baxter's gone. I guess I'm curious. As amazing as this was, you couldn't help but think of absent faces. In seconds, everyone curiously turned their attention to you. Shiloh, Jeremy, Baxter. Never mind. A few interested parties continued to linger for a while longer, but you tried not to meet anyone's stare in particular. The thought you had was lost. But there was no need to force it. For now, you wanted to enjoy the moment and the loving spotlight on your mom's anniversary. There was a playfulness in Kyra's stare as she scanned the room. She slowly placed her index finger on her chin. Now that I think of it, there's something I haven't done in a while. Eyebrows were raised at Kyra's incomplete thought. She was wordlessly urged to continue. Kyra didn't hesitate. Look through all those photos Cliff has here. Wouldn't that be fun for all of us? Would it? Mom, why would you say that? Practically all those photos are of me.
Very cute.
And that's why. Embarrassing my baby boy is just one of the perks of being a mom. Much to Cove's dismay, his mom was thoroughly entertained at his outburst. She winked in your direction. Meanwhile, Cliff eagerly stood up with a wave of proud affection for his son and completely missed Kyra's teasing intent.
Oh.
I think that's a great idea. Anyone else interested in the pictures?
Yeah.
I am. Lee shot her hand up before Cliff could even take a full step. Terry and Miranda snuck each other a glance before nodding with matching grins. That sounds swell.
That's fantastic.
That would be lovely, Cliff. Mom tried to hide her amusement behind her hand, but she couldn't stop the snicker that slipped out. Oh boy. I've seen them all before, but they never get old. I want to see them. You shrugged nonchalantly. You nodded. Poor Cove, everyone loves to pick on you. Only out of love. Snort and giggle slipped out of Liz before she could hide her mouth with her hand. She shook her head, feeling embarrassed by Kyra's knowing smile and unwavering gaze. Of course. Cove buried his face in his hands and sighed slowly. His shoulders deflated in defeat. Fine, we can take a look. Everyone happy with picture time? Yay!
Fun.
Yes! They both excitedly raised a fist in victory. Smaller cheers worked their way around the room. Friends and family were delighted with this turn of events. Mr. Holden flipped open his faded album of physical pictures. He held it up to his face. The corners of his eyes crinkled, and though the book covered much of his face, you were certain he was smiling fondly. But he didn't keep it to himself long, laying the family album on the dining table. You and the rest of the party gathered around to get a peek. The first picture on the first page was a baby Cove in a cute little onesie. There were several coos and ahs from the group. Cliff's eyes were shiny with tears as he sniffed. He's grown so much. Cove was such a cute kid. That's my darling angel. Nice onesie, Cove. How precious. Even as a baby, you looked unimpressed. You smiled, enjoying the view. Even as a baby, you looked unimpressed. Sighing loudly, Cove crossed his arms. His pout grew worse, and it only put a wider grin on your own face. He was a perfect match to the younger self captured in ink on the page. My baby boy was a very quiet child. I probably had a lot on my mind. That's never changed. What was there to think about? Snack time versus nap time? Cove scowled. Meanwhile, you and Kyra couldn't help but crack up into fits of laughter. After breakfast and the photo showcase, everyone decided to stick around. Hanging around Mr. Holden's house turned into taking a walk around the neighborhood, and then for lunch you switched over to your mom's condo. It was a really good time, enjoying each other's company, but eventually the sun began to set and there was nothing else to delay your friends and family from going home. Inside your mom's house, the home you had been raised in, the group was taking their time saying their goodbyes. It was tough for you, your family, your friends. You knew what was weighing on the mood. It might be some time before you'd see one another again. It was a pleasure having you all here, and you're welcome to come around again anytime. Ma wrapped an arm around Mom with a light chuckle. Mom leaned her head gently into her wife, and they both beamed.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I know we're all adults with our own hectic lives, but we appreciate the time taken to visit. Snorting, Liz crossed her arms. She leaned one hip out to the side while her lips curled teasingly. You make it sound like this was such a struggle. Some of these people still live here, and it was a vacation for everyone else. Even so, it was very thoughtful, and I hope everyone has a safe trip home. Kyra clapped a hand on Cliff's shoulder. He was puzzled as she leaned in so he could hear her. That means you too. It's dangerous crossing the street. Remember to look both ways. Hey now. Yeah, good luck with all the important grown-up things I'm sure you'll have to do while you're all out of here. Definitely. I'll give updates next time something exciting happens. Or something lame so I can vent about it. How nice. I'm glad Lee won't be forgetting the little people. Never, ever. I'll keep in touch too.
Very nice.
You better. Well, me and Randy aren't going far, so we can keep an eye on the town for the rest of you. Nothing will get past us. Right, we'll make sure everything is okay. No need to worry at all.
Thanks.
That's kind of you. Miranda and Terry gave each other pleased smiles, already committing to their self-appointed task. Derek scratched the back of his head, wearing a pensive look. It's always sad when I have to leave this town. It happens too often. But at least there will be people looking out for Sunset Bird. That makes me feel better about it. After a pause, Mr. Holden gave the younger folks a thumbs up.
Great.
That's all great. You've got a lot to be proud of, and a lot to be looking forward to. Well said, Cliff. I'm thankful that I've been privileged to witness the growth you've undergone in the years. You've each matured beautifully. Cove was touched by his parents' words and struggled to come up with something to follow. Yeah, it's been good seeing everyone. No one had taken a step yet, and you couldn't put this off any longer. It was time to say goodbye. Goodbye. I'll see you again. I'll miss you. This was fun. Thanks for being here. I'm so glad we got to do this. I'll miss you.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks. We'll miss you too, kiddo. Very much. Mom wrapped you in a big hug, and then you felt the weight of another person in her arms. You realized Liz got pulled in too. We'll be back soon enough that you'll be kicking us back out. I don't think that would happen. I'd like to see you try to push it, though. It'd be funny. She held you both tighter for another moment before letting go. Afterwards, there was more sniffling and hugs. A lot of hugs. Then people started trailing out into the street, seeing others off. Your friends and family got into their cars and left the neighborhood. By the time things had fully settled, you realized that the sun had set. Earlier, you and Cove decided on having a car pick both of you up. Neither of you wanted to bother your parents after such a long day. It would be a little while longer before it would be here, though. It was the right choice, as both sets of parents shot you weary looks. The four seemed ready to call it a night. It didn't take either you or Cove very long to assure them that it was okay to head home and go to bed. With one more round of goodnight and goodbyes, your families returned to the condos. Then the only people left on the street were you and Cove. Cove closed his eyes, humming happily while he waited for it to pass. He stared up at the sky. Cove's hands were in his pockets, and his shoulders were relaxed when he caught your attention with a tilt of his head.
So...
Can you guess what I'm thinking? Well, at that moment you were in the neighborhood you grew up in together with some time to spare. The corner of your mouth curled into a grin. Cove made things too easy for you. That the fireflies are out?
Right.
Right. Do you want to go to the Poppy Hill before we leave? Always. There's an eager bounce in your step as you and Cove crossed over toward the hill behind your mom's house. Side by side, you stared out at the view in awe. As you imagined, the hill was dotted with a glowing firefly light. It perfectly reflected the memories of childhood held closely in your mind. Cove sighed contentedly, seeing them across the hill, weaving in among the blades of grass and the stars above. Cove cocked his head to the side before his expression twisted playfully. When he met your eye, you were about to prod him about what was on his mind when he took off running. I bet I'll catch one first. Oh, it's on. You laughed and watched him try to catch one instead. You cheered him on. You went chasing after the next firefly that caught your eye. Kicking up a bit of dirt and leaves, you bolted in the opposite direction after a few fireflies that captured your attention. The first one that flitted into your range, you dove for it. Did you get one? It escaped between your fingers, but that didn't dim a second of your fun. You shook your head, trying to find your next target. The next one. I can feel it. Unless you're feeling my future victory. Out of the corner of your eye, you watched Cove get spun nearly around, following one that was staying just out of reach. Chuckling, you crouched down low, searching the air. The pursuit for fireflies continued until a handful had been caught. Cove crossed over to you with a bright grin that could rival every twinkling bug and star around you. Cupped between both his hands, Cove carefully held a firefly. The corners of his mouth twisted before a few giggles escaped him, and you knew that feeling well, the way the firefly would buzz around, tickling the palms of your hands. Cove's eyelids fluttered open, meeting yours. He watched you with a complicated mix of emotions. Heavy with the weight of 15 years of history, of memories. It's really a relief that I got to see fireflies. This trip wouldn't have felt complete without it. You're so right. A light breeze tousled your hair. Content you were grateful that Cove made this suggestion. If we hadn't done this, I would have felt like something was missing once I got home. Me too. Taking a deep breath, Cove held your eye. He appeared to be conflicted about what he wanted to say next, and you waited for him to make his choice. It's so strange not to live here anymore. Most of my life, neither of us were ever really away from Sunset Bird. Well, unless one of us went on a trip somewhere. Or when both our families took trips together. Remember that? He chuckled, losing himself to fond reminiscing. You couldn't help but match his grin. I like that road trip one a lot, though. I don't think we all could squish into that RV again. We're way too big. Laughing, Cove shook his head. His brow creased the longer he sat with the thoughts spinning in his brain. Those visits from back with my mom, I remember what a big deal they felt like then. To be away from here without anyone else coming for a whole few weeks. Oh, well, little I knew. Hey, what did you used to tell your mom about me when you were on those trips to see her? We were so innocent then? Whoops. Actually, you know what? I haven't saved in ages. You were so innocent then? You nodded. Worrying about grades, making curfew, what would Mr. Holden spring on Cove next? Those were all huge deals when you were a kid. Looking back, it was easy to see how everything was going to work out. After that, Cove became quiet, simply gazing into your face. The way the lights around sparkled in his eyes reminded you of moonlight reflecting off the waves in the ocean. There was a depth to it that you could hardly grasp. A part of you felt compelled to speak, to do something, but you were entrenched. Cove held you completely in place as much as the firefly. His next words came out as a whisper. I love fireflies. Every time I see them, it makes me happy. It makes me think of you. The lasting eye contact finally broke as Cove let his eyes shift toward the hill. Fireflies and you are linked together in my head so strongly because of all the time we've spent together with them. And because they're kind of like the feelings I have for you on the inside made real. A soft, warm light that's fluttery and tingly all around me. He faced you completely once more. His eyes were now glossy and even fuller with abundant affection. Cove then opened up his hands, holding the firefly settled there toward you. He was wholeheartedly offering it to you. The significance of the gesture wasn't lost on you after you confessed what fireflies truly meant to him. Suddenly struck with emotions, the words cracked in Cove's throat. He smiled wryly and continued on.
I remember.
That night, the summer when I moved, when we all went to catch fireflies, was one of the first truly, completely, purely happy memories in Sunset Bird. Even when I had good days back then, I was so sensitive I usually ended up getting upset over something at some point. I'm guessing you can remember that. He chuckled softly at himself, and your mouth curved into a smile. Sure, Lizzie got kind of bossy near the end of the mini-adventure, but that time it didn't matter. I wanted to run around and play with you and her and Shiloh too. I wanted to be there. It was amazing. He closed his eyes, sorting through all the emotions you were certain were swirling around him. You know that night, years ago, the one after the Orca event, where I snuck into your room with a firefly? I wanted to tell you what I said here.
I'm always like this.
About what fireflies meant and about the feelings I have for you. But I didn't. I couldn't. Not directly, but at least it was implied. A little bit. He shifted on his feet, Remembering his prior shyness brought out a sheepish countenance in Cove during the present. Then Cove's stuttering laughter burst out from the tension. I was able to do it, though. Eventually. I'm glad I did. I'm glad you gave me a chance and time to take it. But his nervous giggles finally settled out as a more contemplative tone came to his voice. This time I'm not going to wait for another moment. There's more I want to say tonight. He had been speaking to you so familiarly, so sweetly, but then his tone became hard. It was more serious than you'd ever heard in your long history together. Jamie. I promised you I'd always be there whenever you wanted. I meant it then. I still mean it now. I mean it more than ever. Cove. He may not have said it directly, but you had gotten the message clearer than if he had shouted it from the rooftops, and Cove knew it. You beamed widely. You covered your mouth with a hand. Your breath caught in your throat. Your eyes began to water. You just began to bawl. You stared back, stunned. Do we want to do the classic? No, just... I would probably stop breathing for a second so I wouldn't interrupt him. Cove's legs shook despite talking straight. His entire body had gone rigid. He winced while trying to force his joints to actually move. Your feet remained locked in place, churning in your own sea of emotions, giving Cove the time he needed. There, see? Ultimately, Cove gracelessly dropped down onto both of his knees with a muted thud. His head was hung low in embarrassment as he clung onto your pants to stop from falling over entirely. Cove mumbled what you thought was an apology, though how he carried himself meant it was directed at the ground. You still couldn't move from that spot. Cove, keeping a tight grip, he was able to awkwardly shift a leg lower so that he was being propped up on just one knee. There was a pause. And then he looked up at you with eyes as blue and wide as the sea, and just as wet. He released your clothes to instead put his hands over his heart. Jamie. In a small, fragile voice he spoke.
I love you.
I love you. You mean so much to me. I don't even know what life would be without you. Tears fell heavily, and the words dropped out as painfully. I'm sorry. Have I ever been able to handle a major romantic moment in our relationship well? You don't have to answer that. He laughed breathily. It was almost more of a wheeze. I've never made things easy, especially when growing up. Life was so hard for me, and I made things harder for everybody else. We definitely had our ups and downs thanks to that, but at the end of it, we always just got closer. He continued to sniffle as he made a few false continuations of unintelligible stammering. Eventually, Cove found what he wanted to say next. Thank you for being my partner. Thank you for standing up to Lizzie when she would be mean to me. Thank you for never minding when I'd sneak over to your house through the window. Thank you for putting up with me when I'd panic about stuff outside of my control. Thank you for defending me from Jeremy. Cove's eyelids squeezed shut in an attempt to stop himself from rambling further. You couldn't help but chuckle at how precious he was. You had to hide your face bashfully. Your eyes began to tear up. You didn't know what to do with yourself. You had to stop yourself from interrupting. You were so touched already, but wanted him to finish. There we go. Let's go with that. Cove's outpouring of gratitude accumulated into a final piece of appreciation.
Thanks for waiting for me.
And thank you for being such a patient person. I know I kept you waiting so long. He took in a slow, controlled breath, and then, without stuttering or stopping, said the words out loud.
Will you marry me?
Jamie Johnson, will you marry me? I will. There's nothing that I'd want more. There's nothing I'd want more. Yes. I would be happy to. Of course. Finally. You bet I will. You nodded joyfully. Oh, none of these are no. None of these are you sure you're ready? Are you sure we're ready? We haven't even moved in together yet. We haven't even... There's other things I don't think we've done yet. Or maybe we have, I don't know. If we did it off screen. Of course. Finally. Duh. No. This is more our style that we've been playing. You bet I will. Cove collapsed forward, catching himself with his hands before landing face first into the grass. Poppies around his face fluttered from his grand sigh of relief. Oh my God, thank you. Eyes filled with fresh tears, he lifted his head back up to smile at you with all the love in the world. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know that's all I've been saying this whole time. I'm sorry, but just thank you for being here and for being the one I get to be with. Somehow, all you could think that it was him. Cove Holden, man you loved, and now the person you were going to marry. I love you. No, thank you for everything. You never have to apologize for that. You're so wonderful. Don't worry, this was perfect. You nodded reassuringly. You never have to apologize for that. Then, you embraced him. You pulled him into a kiss. You got down in the grass and kissed him. You smiled from the bottom of your heart. We're getting down in the grass. We're getting down dirty in the grass. You couldn't hold back any longer. You launched yourself at him and knocked Cove over on impact. He laid flat on his back now. His eyes were wide, but swiftly pulled you against him, as close as he could get, desperate to feel you. You leaned forward and kissed your fiancé. He kissed you back lovingly, and you could feel the smile on his face. The place where you met, where you grew, where you fell in love, was now the place where your shared life together truly began. Your eyes drifted closed to let yourself experience it, to anchor yourself in this moment and hold on for as long as possible. You, the both of you, never wanted to let go. You were certain of it. The rest of your days would be spent side by side. It was all you'd hoped for. When the swirling excitement of your new engagement relaxed back into the more familiar style of gentle comfort your relationship brought, Cove stood up. He lifted you along with him. Oh, and I do have a ring, too, if you want that. It's just, sentimentality. The firefly felt better to me. You instantly laughed. That was exactly like him. You felt thrilled hearing he'd gotten you an engagement ring. You shook your head affectionately at his antics. None of that mattered to you, but you appreciated the consideration. Yes, that was exactly like him. Cove chuckled bashfully, picking a stray strand of grass off his pants. You were tickled by the turn of events that unfolded here. You had definitely considered asking him yourself, and never would have guessed Cove Holden would beat you to it. That's why I waited. Wanted to see. This was all you needed and more. You felt ecstatic he did, but you still wanted to propose too. Now I'm good. Suddenly, Cove's now wide eyes snapped to yours. How are we going to tell people? We're leaving early in the morning and it's really late now. Should we try talking before we go? Two of you put your heads together to come to some kind of decision for this predicament. Maybe we could try calling your mom's house phone? If they hear that, it'd mean they haven't really gone to bed yet. If they don't, they probably won't even know it rang. Calling their cell phones might wake them up. And I could do the same for Dad's house. Let's call them tomorrow. Good idea. Lucky us, they still have landlines. No. should be just for us. Tonight should be just for us. In sync, you and Cove dug out your cells and began to call the respective homes of your families. Cove stepped to the side as his father presumably picked up. You couldn't pay attention to his words for long, as Mom answered your call next.
Hello.
Johnson residence, how can I help you? Hi, Mom, it's me. I wanted to see if you were awake without bothering you if you'd gone to bed. Yeah? Who raised such a thoughtful person? I'm impressed. She chuckled at her own comment while getting quieter. You could tell she was pulling her face away from the receiver. Lonnie, Jamie's on the phone. When she spoke again, it came in loud and clear. She's coming on over.
Oh,
You twisted your head to the side after hearing Cove's exclamation and saw him tap on his screen to switch things to speaker mode. Say hi, Dad and Mom. Jamie's here and so are their moms, sort of. They're on the phone too. You quickly followed Cove's move and let your moms be on speaker. Hey, Johnson family. Good evening, ladies. Hello, it's nice to hear from you. Agreed, even though it's unexpected. What's happening, kiddos? Well, the thing is, Wait, I'm gonna call Liz. Pam, get your phone. You can call Lee. Wait, no, you don't have to do that. No, you really don't. Please don't. I want to, sweetie. This is news they're going to enjoy hearing, isn't it? I'm certain they won't mind. I mean...
all right.
Hey, in that case, Kyra and I could call your friends. I've got their numbers. Seriously? Of course. They've had to call me plenty of times to try reaching you whenever you misplaced your phone or forgot to charge it. Dad. Oh, that's perfect. You laughed nervously. You went rigid. Well, I mean, at least this way we get it done all at once, right? An awkward smile crept on your face as you tried to absorb what was happening. Your parents got to work, leaving the old landlines on while they used their cells to call Lee, Liz, Miranda, and Terry's apartment, and Derek, respectively. It's like, this is why I didn't want to call anybody. Every call went through, and soon your whole main group was on the line, and they were expecting answers. There was no putting it off. I have an announcement. Well, Cove's got an announcement. You just looked at Cove expectantly. No, I'll take the burden off the poor lad. I have an announcement. I'm getting married. Cove proposed to me, and I accepted. I am intending to take Cove's hand. Cove and I are engaged. I'm getting married. Cove proposed to me, and I accepted. I am intending to take Cove Holden's hand in matrimony. I'm sure you can guess. Cove and I are getting married. Cove proposed to me, and I accepted. Cove nodded with a serious expression.
Right.
That's right. I'm going to marry Jamie. Cove reached over to take your hand as a physical sign of your union, even though no one could see it. It made him feel better. The hill filled with cheers and congratulations. You heard Terry's distinctive whoop, and your moms start to joyfully whisper to each other away from the receiver. Lee squealed and Kyra cooed. There was no confusion or need for pause. Everyone in your life was immediately on board with your plans. Cove turned his head and beamed at you, excitement in his smile. It was coupled with a fond squeeze to your hand. You grinned back at him.
I'm so glad.
I'm so proud of you, Cove. The two of you are going to be happy. I'm sure of it. Dad. Cove sniffled, eyes wide and emotional. Yeah, I will be. Both of us will be. Kyra spoke up gently.
Thank you.
Thank you for being so wonderful to my baby. I'm lucky and grateful that you're going to be part of my life forever. Well put, Kyra. Jamie is a keeper, for sure. Your family couldn't stay quiet for long and began to chime in. I can't believe how grown up you are, but I couldn't be happier with how it all happened. Congratulations, Jamie. You are one of the smartest cookies out there. You're making an amazing life for yourself.
Seriously?
This is totally amazing. You're seriously getting married. It's like we're real adults and all that. Yeah, it'd almost be hard to believe that my baby sibling is marrying a person. You know, if Cove wasn't such an obvious choice as a husband for you. Her tone turned abnormally gentle. You're doing good. Thanks for the positive rating.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Lee giggled and your moms had some chuckles. Cove stood awkwardly, not entirely sure if he or Liz was being laughed at. Your three friends had stayed silent. You believed that they were intentionally giving your families a chance to have a moment. But once they said their pieces, it didn't take long for your friends to jump into the conversation excitedly. Congratulations on the engagement! It's crazy how we're really at this point of our lives. Some days it feels like high school was yesterday.
So great.
But it's great. You both are definitely Sunset Bird's best couple. Terry added on eagerly. You are the aspiration. I'm stoked that you're going to be official. This is a big step, but I'd say you've more than earned it with everything you've been through over the years. You both deserve to be with each other for the rest of your lives. Cove had appeared weepy before, but this sealed it. He cried. Everyone's words had built up and coalesced into Cove shedding the happiest tears you'd seen. Thank you. These were people you cared dearly about, and they were so happy from your engagement. It was heartwarming. Good luck, kiddos. You've got a journey ahead of you. Cliff agreed with a chuckle. They've known each other for 15 years already, and I still haven't gotten sick of each other yet. How hard could making it work for the rest of their lives be?
It's no trouble.
For the two of them, not difficult at all. Thank you so much, everyone. I don't even know what to say. You all better come around again for the actual wedding. I'm impressed Cove didn't run away even once during this big life change. No. What a horrible thing to say. Just gonna say thanks everybody. Thank you. Means a lot that you're all here for us. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Cove nodded beside you with a watery smile. Of course. What else is family for? But ultimately, the night was growing late, and the many phone calls all had to come to an end. Taking my socks off because it's hot in here. After goodbyes were shared, you were left with just one another again in the quiet space of Poppy Hill. I think that was nice. Me too.
Well,
We have to go to the hotel now, huh? Yeah, I think I can do that. I'm not ready. Do we have to go? You nodded. You shook your head. I think I can do that. Are you sure? Yes, crying out loud, Cove. Yeah, it's just goodbye for a little while. There'll be more nights like this one someday. Trailing a few steps behind Cove, you looked back down the hill. You spotted your childhood home immediately. I'm grateful we could come home here and see how things are without us. It was nice.
yeah.
It really was. With Cove right there along with you, you made your way down the hill. With the same stars above, trailing the way, your last night in Sunset Bird was closing out. You were lost deep within a dream, adrift in the current of your unconscious mind. Cove was with you even there, his presence strong, as your mind flitted from scene to scene, the logic of the conscious world melting around you. Something jolted you from your slumber, the visions you'd constructed slipping away even as you scrambled to catch them. It had been a good dream. You opened your eyes to an unlit, unfamiliar ceiling. Darkness permeated the room so thoroughly that you were sure it was still the middle of the night. As your eyes adjusted to what little light there was to catch on to, a smiling face cozied itself right above you. There he was. Santa. No. It's not Christmas. Good morning, Jamie. The grin was bright enough to make it seem like maybe the sun had risen after all. Good morning. Wow, it's my dream come true, you said sarcastically. Oh, it's my dream come true, you cooed. What have you got up your sleeve today? Please, stop being a morning person. You groaned grumpily as you could manage. What have you got up your sleeve today? You knew you were about to experience one of Cove Holden's plans. His expression softened at your voice, the tender affection in his gaze obvious despite the dim space. You kissed him, you flicked his nose, you ruffled his hair, you pulled the covers over your head. Just give him a smooch. We're engaged now, after all. Propping yourself up on your elbows, you leaned in toward him. Cove read the intent in your movement and bent down, meeting you halfway in a kiss. Would you have preferred me to wake you up by tapping on the window? Yes. No. Maybe. I'd have preferred neither. Ha ha, you're so funny. Maybe? Cove simply smirked, amused by his own wit.
Come on.
I mean, you really should have expected this was going to happen. I did. I was waiting for it. I hoped you might have outgrown it. Fine, shame on me because you got me more than once. Way more than once. All right, you woke me up for something. Give me your pitch and I'll see if it's better than sleeping. Well, this is our last day here. Everyone might still be asleep. But if we get up now, we can at least see the neighborhood. Do you want to? No, really not. Of course. With you, definitely. And the reason that you didn't tell me this plan last night is... Here we go, yet again. You just nodded. Doubt I have a choice here. Reason you didn't tell me this plan last night? Cove only shrugged. Is that a yes or what? You made a show of considering his offer. It is.
All right.
Great. Then he held out one of those hands to help you get up too. You took it. You held out both arms, wordlessly asking him to lift you up. You shuffled out of bed without assistance. No, carry me. Carry me and wake me up early. Carry me. Cove complied, crouching down to scoop you up before gently setting you down again. Before you could head out, you and Cove both needed to get dressed. You did so quietly. The strangeness of the hour meant that your body seemed less coordinated than usual, each article of clothing a new puzzle, but you managed it. The two of you were eventually ready to head out into the wide world. Dawn still hadn't broken when you left the hotel, yet it was easy enough to get a ride down into Sunset Bird. I'll compromise by bringing the fan at low speed a little bit closer, because that's still quieter than turning it up a level, unfortunately, because I am schwitzing. I turned off the AC and I'm roasting. The journey was peaceful. You might have expected sleep to attempt to claim you once again, with the sky still so dark, but Cove's excited energy was infectious. Morning was finally starting to come over Sunset Bird as you arrived, almost like the sun itself wanted to be there to welcome you. Cove turned toward you, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. One more summer beach trip? You were sorely tempted to tease him, but his eager expression was just too pure. Sure, one more. You could have taken your time getting there, dawdling under the morning sun, or you could have taken the short walk at a regular pace. Both of those would have been just right for some other occasion, but this time, without either of you saying a word, you and Cove set off sprinting. The two of you tore gleefully down the street toward the beach, as excited and ungainly as the kids you'd once been. You were laughing with joy and the absurdity of it all, being here at the break of dawn with the boy you'd once discovered on the nearby hill, who never completely grew up. As it was still early, you did your best to keep the noise down. To the side, you saw Cove covering his mouth to stifle his own giggles, similarly aware of the people sleeping in the condos around you. You thought of what the mean old not grandparents would have said if they could see you now. All you could do was continue running and stumbling down toward the beach, away from the residences and their sleeping occupants. It was only a few minutes before you arrived at the expansive ocean shore. Cove kicked off his shoes and strode right into the water, not stopping until his feet were entirely submerged and the waves tickled his ankles. Okay, is this meant to... Seems like a bit of a move for the light to be more intense out over the water, because if we're in California, then the sun sets over the ocean. It doesn't rise over the ocean. Cove kicked off his shoes and strode right into the water, not stopping until his feet were entirely submerged, and the waves tickled his ankles. You stood close by on the damp sand. You got into the water with him. I don't know why I'm hesitating over this one, but I'm just going to stay on the sand. Shutting your eyes, you enjoyed the cool sea breeze washing over your skin. The two of you stood there, watching as the sun continued its ascent over the horizon. Silence fell between you until finally, dawn had fully broken. Even then, Cove spoke in a whisper.
Wow.
I can't believe it's over. I can't either. How are we already at this point? It all went by way too fast. Boy, you're really sounding like a kid again, you joked. I think it was good enough. You shrugged. You nodded. I think it was good enough. A ghost of a smile crept over Cove's face, like the sun peeking out between clouds on an overcast day. Cove reached out and enveloped your hand in his, pressing your palms together tightly. Silence returned, just for a second. I'm glad we came this morning, and that we came on this whole visit back.
I'm so glad.
But more than anything, I'm glad for ending up in this town in the first place, where I got to grow up with a really nice neighbor. I wouldn't have wanted any other life. I'm most grateful for meeting you, too. Thank you. Thanks for being here. You smiled at him. I'm just... Thank you. Cove looked over at you out of the corner of his eyes, not turning his face away from the sea. His expression was full of affection, from the gentle curve of his smile to his clear, contented brow. It was a stark contrast to the tears rolling down his face. You counted yourself lucky. Even though you were leaving now, this place had gifted you with so much that you'd carry with you wherever life might take you. The memories you'd made, the lessons you'd learned, the people you'd built relationships with. You'd keep those pieces of your life in Sunset Bird forever. You stood with Cove, silently watching as bright rays swept away the last of the night's shadows, until the day truly arrived. Your spirits were high as the sun rose ever higher in the sky. The two of you had found yourselves meandering back to the neighborhood streets on sandy feet, strolling down the path just as you'd done thousands of times before. This was where it all started. You were compelled to look at the exact spot you'd first encountered Mr. Holden, sitting dejected on the curb. He wasn't like that anymore. Still, you couldn't forget the day it began, just as you couldn't believe what an adventure it led to. Things had never been the same since that moment, and you couldn't be happier for it. Your mental lingering on that meeting had turned physical, causing you to stop in your tracks. It was only when you heard Cove's voice calling your name that you remembered when you were and realized what you'd done. And what a present it was! A shining sun, a clear blue sky, and Cove by your side, all the most natural things in the world. So, what's the next step? You watched Cove expectantly, waiting for him to guide you forward from here. There was a crinkle around his eyes as he laughed. It's up to you now. Ooh, exciting. You're giving me too much power. I don't know, but I don't want it to be. You should pick. You clammed up. You're giving me too much power. Aren't you worried about it going to my head? Cove smirked, shaking his
It's
head.
okay.
Don't worry about it. I'm listening, so go ahead. His eyes met yours, holding your gaze. I believe in you, Jamie. No matter how much time might pass, there were some things that you could count on to be constant. Cove, your family, his family, all your other loved ones being here for you when you needed it, was one of those things, since the beginning, and for always. Knowing they were there and you would never be truly alone made the future look all that much brighter. Could we go to Poppy Hill? Want to find somewhere private to make out? Do you want to keep walking and go through town? Want to grab something to eat? We should see who can reach the end of the street fastest. I just want to wait and see what happens. I mean, I want to say want to go find somewhere private to make out. Let's see who can reach the end of the street fastest. It wouldn't be the first time the two of you had run that race. Hopefully it wouldn't be the last either. Cove nodded, his gaze shifting from you to roam across the little place that you'd both called home. There's a lot that's still out there in the world. A lot of different ways things could go in the future. But for this, I think that'd be the perfect choice. You beamed, his approval of your suggestion lifting your spirits ever higher. Your days growing up in Sunset Bird had been so wonderful. Even the prospect of leaving again made your chest ache. Yet you weren't going to let that stop you. It would be hard, but you knew that it would still be there, waiting, whenever you wanted to return. Facing Cove, who'd been by your side through it all, you knew that one day you'd look back on these moments now, just as you fondly reminisced about your childhood growing up here. Each happy moment you experienced became only a memory of what used to be. But that was what life was, and it was okay. As it was from the beginning and continuing that way for always, life took another step forward. Thank you for beginning a life here, now leaving Sunset Bird. You can come back again always. The end. The end, the end. The actual end. Okay. Well. Can't save? Continue? Does it save? Yeah, it goes all the way back there. All right. So I'm going to quit. Yes. All right. Well, thank you for joining me. This has been our life, beginnings and always. We finally finished the game. And yeah, I said a lot of things about it at the end of episode 7. So it was a lot longer than I thought it would be. You've played for 29 hours. Some of that got cut out, but not all of it. Not a lot, proportionally. Would you recommend this game to other players? Maybe later. We'll do that later. Thank you for joining me. We're going to start something little faster pacing next time. Something a little snappier, a little shorter, hopefully. We'll see. I have some ideas. I'm not going to commit to anything right this second, but I've got some ideas. So, yes, thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.